Hi everyone. So this week I wanted to do a video because I don't know about you, but I have been getting a ton of ads lately, and the ads are all over Facebook, all over TikTok, all over everything for all sorts of supplements and all sorts of weight loss things and all sorts of different products that are available to women especially, but pretty much anybody, that are designed to either improve your life in some way, shape, or form. But most of them are centered around weight loss and around helping you lose weight. And then some of them are things like protein shakes or protein supplements. And some of them are things like drinks and stuff like that that you can consume that are supposed to help you out with certain outcomes that you would like to have. And it's really hard when you are constantly bombarded with information to kind of break things down and figure out what things are right for you. And especially since all of us have different body types and different outcomes that we're looking to accomplish, to figure out, okay, how do I make the best decisions that are going to work for me? So what I'm going to do today is kind of break things down and help you take a step back and not make these impulse purchases just because something sounds good, and help you realize, hey, like, I don't have to just click add to cart and buy immediately, and figure out the best ways to find some information about these particular products. So the first thing that we want to think about is, why is this important? Why is it important to figure out whether or not you should buy a product or whether or not you should buy a particular supplement or brand? And the first thing is that your money is important. What do we spend our money on is valuable. Whatever we don't spend our money on is things that we can save that money for, that we value. Things like travel, things like saving for retirement later on, things like important experiences, or simply just paying our bills. I know a lot of us have got a lot more than money in a lot of situations, and so we want to make sure that what we are spending our money on is things that are valuable. So it's really important to make sure that we are saving ourselves from impulse buys, especially if there are things that are not actually going to improve our life. And also to kind of look for alternatives to some of these really, really expensive supplements that we're seeing, if there are any out there that might serve our needs just as well as some of this really expensive stuff. And then also your health is valuable. Like, some of these things are pretty much the equivalent of buying really expensive pee, because your body is just going to shed out whatever that you're consuming. So do you actually need this product, or is it something that is even damaging for you? So we're going to break that down as well. So the first thing that you want to look at is, what outcome are you looking for from this product? Is this something that the world is telling you that you really want, or is this something that you actually want? For example, do you want to lose weight? Okay, why do you want to lose weight? Do you actually need to lose weight, or do you think that you need to lose weight because the world is telling you that you need to? Are you losing weight for yourself? Or are you losing weight because you think you need to be skinnier for certain outcomes? Are you losing weight because you want your clothes to fit better? Are you losing weight because somebody else is telling you that you need to look a certain way? If somebody else is telling you that you need to look a certain way, maybe you don't need to lose weight. Maybe you need to lose that person. But when we are figuring things out, then we need to analyze the reasons that we're making those decisions. Now, in certain situations, losing weight for health might be something that is important to do, because sometimes you might need to get weight off your joints because your joints are breaking down for those reasons, or that your weight is tied to certain health outcomes. But we're going to talk about that a little bit more later on. So sometimes your doctors are going to say, it would really help if you lost some weight to get this certain health outcome, or that your blood sugar is super high, or that your cholesterol is a certain way, or that your blood pressure is elevated. So some of these reasons might be things that you might think that a supplement might help with. And most of these things can be in some way, shape, or form linked to diet. And so it is a little bit easier in some cases to say, hey, I could take a supplement and not change my lifestyle. And so if I can not change my lifestyle and take a pill, that might be a little bit easier. But in those cases, if we can make the lifestyle changes and not just take the pill, it's a lot more healthy in the long run. I know for me personally, and for a lot of women especially, and even for men, you can't visit a doctor without them mentioning your weight to begin with. And that can be really damaging in some ways. And so sometimes we just want to say, okay, I'm going to lose weight to earn the right to be seen without that being mentioned. And that's really hard as well, that we think that we can't get the health outcomes that we want without losing weight. And that's something that I think we have a lot to get towards in this country with health outcomes in general. But I think that we need to be very, very careful about seeking a quick fix for these weight supplements and stuff, and take a step back and say, I am not going to buy this pill to fix this problem because I'm having a knee-jerk reaction to something somebody said to me. So think about that as well. Hey, go ahead and hit that subscribe button while you're waiting, if you haven't yet. That'd be real great. Okay, thanks. Okay, so our next step that we're going to think about is, where did you find out about this product that you want to purchase? If you found out about it from a doctor, doctors have very limited nutritional information. They don't have as much training in nutrition as a nutritionist or a dietitian, and most of them will tell you that. They will say, if you need to know about your diet, then you need to go see a nutritionist or a dietitian. And so when it comes to weight loss and that kind of thing, a lot of times their only way to treat things is with medication, and they don't necessarily know how to treat those things with diet. And so sometimes their recommendations might be to do things with a medication or with a supplement or with those types of things. And so in those cases, if a doctor recommends those types of fixes, you might want to say, do I have the option to talk to a dietitian or a nutritionist first? And what is your reason for asking me to lose weight? What is your intended health outcome from me losing weight? And is there another way besides losing weight, or in addition to losing weight, that we can accomplish that health outcome? And that way you can have an intentional conversation, because sometimes I think doctors are so used to saying that they might not have thought through fully, okay, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? The other thing is that when you're thinking about where you found out about a product, how much are you a victim of targeted advertising? Very often we have these situations where we have talked about something, a problem that we're having, something we're experiencing, and all of a sudden a whole lot of ads just pop up on our feeds everywhere. And so did this all of a sudden come up? And then all of a sudden you're getting these repeated advertisements for these products over and over and over again. And so if you are getting these from multiple companies in some cases, but maybe just from the one, then that is them trying to repeatedly have this product come up across your feed, and they are aiming to get you to buy this product. And you don't have to purchase that product. And so take a step back and think, this is not because this product is good for me. This is not because this product is something that people on my feed are recommending to me. This is because this company wants me to buy this product. And so that is when on your feed, on your thing, click those little 3 dots or click whatever it is and say, do not show me this product anymore. It is repetitive. I don't want to see it. And the other thing that I've been doing quite a lot lately is, going and looking at that product and figuring out why I'm starting to see it and what that product's recommended for, because I've been seeing a lot of advertisements where I'm seeing the product and I have no idea what it does, where it's just pretty packaging and I don't even know what the intention of that product is, but they're like, oh, well, you need it. So keep those things in mind as well. The other thing I've noticed a lot is if I hide one company, that another company that does that same thing will just pop them in its place. And in those cases, I don't know whether it's another company or whether it's the same company under a different name. So that's something to consider as well. The other thing that you will see quite often with a lot of these products is a multi-level marketing or a subscription model for these products where you have people, and I completely understand why they might do this, where they're trying to either make a supplemental income to their regular job, or they might be trying to do something where they work from home and they are trying to sell a product. And the things that I will see from these companies is that you either have to sign up with these companies or subscribe to these companies in order to get this product, and you can't just purchase it outright. You can't like go to a website and buy that product, and a lot of times you can't even see pricing unless you sign up in some way. Does the company not disclose what the name of the company is, or is it a little bit tough to see by the people selling it what the name of the company is? But you see people posting the results. If somebody is posting often, and then you see a lot of people commenting the same kind of things underneath that post, where they'll say, I found this product that works really great for me. And then you'll see a whole stream of people under every single post saying the same types of things about, oh yeah, that's great, I've seen this same type of thing. Those are people that sell that same product. Those are not people that are buying that product from that person. Those are people that sell that product as well. It is a model that they use in order to sell that product. And so it's something that can be misleading, and it is designed to get a lot of people to sell that product, and eventually it will implode. If you do not believe me, watch the LuLaRoe documentary, and it is not very helpful for anyone involved. Is there often a sale, or people telling you, oh, I only have a certain number of these left, so get in while it's hot? Those types of things are also something that they'll use. And also find out what the name of that product is, and look up online and see if people have a big struggle to get out of or off of whatever plan that is. And that will tell you something as well. And you'll also look up things like class action suits against that company, or look up things like people having any sort of damage from those companies. You will see those things happening a lot with some of these multi-level marketing companies in a lot of cases. Okay, so how do you know if a product or if a choice is right for you? One of the best ways to figure this out is genetics are huge. Genetics decide a lot about the way that your body operates, and sometimes genetics is something that you're going to have a really hard time fighting. And so if you have high blood pressure, if you have diabetes, or if you have these things as a history in your family, find the people in the family that are the most like you medically, find out what works for them. And then you might be able to figure out what would work best for you. And write these things down, figure these things out, and go about these medical things like a scientist, and have these productive conversations with your family members to find out the things that work for you. And that way you will know going forward that, okay, my uncle, his body type is just like mine, and so he had diabetes at this age, and so I'm going to talk to my doctor about this, and I'm going to make sure that, I'm doing these types of things to make sure that I am avoiding these types of things. So for example, does heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, cancer, those types of things run in your family? If heart disease, high cholesterol run in your family, then you might need to look into making sure you have a high fiber diet that is going to keep that cholesterol out of your veins and arteries. You're going to avoid saturated fats as much as you possibly can. Consider fiber supplements, because if you're not able to get high fiber diets in over time, then that might be something to consider as well. Then if you can't tolerate a high fiber diet, you definitely need to be watching out for those saturated fats, because those are going to build up in your system. And also watch out for your hydrogenated oils, because those build up in your system a whole lot as well. So that is something that you're going to want to keep an eye out for as well. If you know you have diabetes in your family, limit your added sugars as much as you possibly can, because that is going to be something that is going to contribute over time to type 2 diabetes. So keep an eye on that. If you know that you have cancer in your family, you're going to want to include a lot of antioxidants. Eat lots of blueberries, eat lots of your fruits and vegetables that have a whole lot of your antioxidants in them. And then also that high fiber diet is going to help with that as well. And then try to avoid a lot of your highly processed meats, like your sausages and your hot dogs and things like that, because those are considered to be a little bit more carcinogenic as well. But keep an eye on those things if you know that you have a family history of that. One of the biggest things to understand is you can't out supplement a poor diet. So even if you are not eating the way that you can't take a couple Flintstones and fix that. Your body is going to absorb vitamins and minerals from real foods and real things better than it is from anything else. So try to consume real foods and eat well as much as you can. And then if you have to, fill in with supplements, but your best option is to eat whole foods if you can. One of the other things to kind of keep an eye on is to understand that low weight does not necessarily equal good health. So you can be very, very thin and have some things going on inside your body and not know what is going on. So make sure you're getting your cholesterol checked. Make sure that you're getting your A1C checked, especially if you have a family history of diabetes. Make sure that you are exercising. Make sure that you're eating well. And the other thing to kind of keep in mind is that you could be what is considered to be overweight and not have those kind of issues as well. There is a way to be healthy at a lot of different sizes. And so it is important to understand that low weight doesn't mean high health and high weight doesn't mean low health. The one thing that you do want to keep in mind is that if you are larger, you're going to be putting a little more weight on your joints. And so your joints are going to be kind of degrading and are going to have more stress on them over time. So that's something to consider. But keep in mind that weight does not always correlate exactly with health. So we've talked about the places that all these things pop up. We've talked about the reasons that you might want to take them. How in the world do we figure out which things that you should take and which places that you should look and the best places that to find information? Because let's be real. Anybody with a couple dollars a month can make a website, and AI can go on there, and we don't know which websites AI is pulling information from. So AI summaries are not a great place to get information from. This is not the place to use this, because in a lot of cases, anybody in the world can tell you with great authority and very huge confidence that they are the be-all end-all about information, and they aren't. If they don't have the credentials and the research to back it up, and they have not performed studies with real human bodies, they do not know. And so that is something that we are really, really having to watch out with in the food and nutrition world. There is a ton of really, really, really bad information about food and nutrition on the internet. And I know this because I teach food and nutrition for a living, and my students find some really interesting information on the internet about food and nutrition. But let's talk about some places that you can find information that is helpful in general. So if you are looking for articles or for information about a supplement, first of all, when you are looking at a supplement, you want to look at the active ingredients of that supplement. And if you cannot figure out what the active ingredients of a supplement are, then that supplement is not for you. If it is not telling you what the active ingredients are, if it does not tell you what the ingredients of that supplement are, then back up. That's not the one, because you need to know what you are putting in your body. You need to know exactly what the components of those things are, so that if anybody asks, hey, what have you consumed? If something goes wrong, then you can answer that question. So if you don't know what the active ingredients are, then you don't need to consume that item. So once you have figured out what your active ingredients are, then you are going to look this up. And if you can, you're going to go to the library. And I know that sounds crazy, but if you have access to any sort of library or any sort of college journaling lookup, you're going to look for academic journals, because then you are going to be able to look up peer-reviewed articles. And what that means is that somebody has done an academic study with real humans where they have looked at whether or not this particular ingredient does a certain thing, whether this particular substance does something for a human being, and they have studied it with multiple humans of multiple body types. And you can look at that article to see that it's done things with multiple humans of multiple body types. And you can say, okay. And then other scholars from other colleges and other universities have looked at the study and said, okay, they did their due diligence and looked at this ingredient or this substance, and it does what they say it does. And multiple scholars and multiple people have looked at this and said that it does what it says it does. And that is what a peer-reviewed journal or article is. And that is what you want. Okay? Now, there's a lot of articles out there in the world. And there's a lot of people that try to make things look like peer-reviewed articles. And they might be in things like magazines, and they might be things that people will cite. But if an article is cited and that particular research study is funded by that supplement company, then we can't trust the research that they've done, because they have what is called a bias, meaning that they have a vested interest in saying that that product does what they say it does. And so we don't fully trust that research. Now, it's possible that particular thing does what it says it does, but we need to make sure that other people are looking at that besides that particular company that's selling that item and saying that it does what it does too. We want multiple people, multiple humans looking at that, and we want that study to be done on as many people as possible so that we know that it's doing the right thing. The other thing that we are wanting to see done is, because in a lot of these cases, we're seeing some journals that people can just pay to put their information in. That is the reason why the peer review becomes very, very important. So make sure you are looking at who is funding these particular studies. So keep these things in mind when you are coming up with the reasons why you are taking a particular supplement. Finally, the way that I will look into things in a lot of different cases, and this one is less scientific, but it has been very, very helpful. And the articles and peer reviews are the scientific and there's going to be some qualitative and some quantitative. So the qualitative is going to be more looking at stories and that kind of thing, and the quantitative is looking at the numbers. But one thing that I have done that has been very, very helpful for me when I'm looking at supplements and stuff is that I will look at reviews. And so I take that particular item and I go into a search engine and I will type in whatever the name of the product itself is and put in reviews and try to find that. But the other place that has been very, very helpful for this is Reddit. And Reddit, I will type in and put in reviews, or put in issues is another thing that I will put in there, because that way you can see, and I hate to say it, but you want to see if people have had problems with a particular product. And so that way you can tell kind of what can go wrong with a product as well. And that has literally made me definitely turn me in the other direction from making sure that I don't get some particular substances and supplements and things like that recently. And the thing that is important to remember with all of this is I teach food nutrition for a living. And even knowing what I know, even having a master's degree, even having the education level that I have, I still sometimes get taken in by some of these products. I still have this hope that something is going to work really well. I still have this, oh yeah, like I really want this to work. I really want this to do what they say it's going to do. And so I think the biggest thing to take from this is take a pause, take a moment, figure this out, and don't just jump in with both feet and say, I'm going to add this to the cart. I'm going to buy it immediately. And I'm going to start taking this supplement and putting this thing in my body and have no idea what it is. So know what you're putting in your body. Know what these supplements are. Know who is writing these studies, know who is funding these studies, and just be safe with what you're putting in your bodies. Hopefully this helps you make some decisions about what supplements that you're taking and about what products that you're using. And we will see you guys next week.